Hello everyone, welcome to another Inkarnate live stream. Today we're going to be creating an alien outpost with the beta access Sci-Fi Battlemap style. We're also going to be showcasing the line and shape tools in this video. And if you're wondering, yes, we will be making videos that are dedicated to breaking down the line and shape tool. So looking forward to working on those and then getting those out there. Now, before I quickly jump into this, one real quick announcement. The stream that is scheduled for Wednesday the 20th of this month is going to be rescheduled. I'm going to be taking some time off that week. So announcements all done. Let's dive right into making this alien outpost. As always, because I'm making an interior, I generally like to make my BG layer a color black, because we're not seeing the inside. So I just click fill. It'll fill the entire BG layer, provided that the background layer is selected. And then I'm going to go turn on the grid. And we go ahead and turn the grid on. And the grid is going to help us to set scale. And also a lot of the shape and line tools snap to the grid. That's very, very useful when you're wanting to create straight lines, angles, or curves. That grid is going to help you with that. So setting the grid is useful for using the tools. I'm going to go ahead and change it up to a different size. I'm going to just cut it in half or double it there, and now it's going to be 20 by 15. And so now our grid is set. And what I like to do whenever you're in this kind of quandary of wondering like, hey, what is the shape that I want this building to be in? What's really helpful is just to go straight to the pack that you're mostly going to be working with. And since we're making an alien outpost, it probably doesn't hurt to open up the Slimy and Horrificus pack. And I'm also going to expand all assets out of the hamburger menu in the top right corner there. And when I take a look at these stamps, it gives me a general idea of like, okay, maybe I want to take one of these stamps and I want to base the shape of the building that I'm making off of this shape right here. And then I can also look at the theme, and I see that there's kind of these tendrils, there's these some kind of sacks of some kind. So I'm gonna have a general theme now. I'm gonna have maybe the building will be a series of sacks that are rooms, and maybe I'll do a centralized layout, which means there'll be one large centralized room and then a couple other rooms branching off of it. And you can see this is the kind of similar to this stamp right here. There's a big postule, whatever that is, and then some smaller sacks that are around the larger one. So we're going to use that as our guide, right? Good idea. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click the shape tool first, and we're going to select circle. Now, one thing you don't have to worry about is it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to worry about it having to snap to the grid. It's up to you. But I'll turn it on for now. You can see, and I'm going to click, hold, just drag it, and we're going to go with this shape first. Now, obviously, the stamp is not the kind of stamp that I want to work with. So we'll go ahead and open up the catalog by clicking on that thumbnail. And I'm going to go ahead and pick a wall that I want to use. Now, we'll go ahead and maybe select a couple walls and just kind of go over, see how it looks. I don't really like the uniformity of this wall. So let's pick a wall that's not so uniform, because just like the shape of the building, one large sack and then a couple smaller ones, it's kind of asymmetrical. So I don't want my wall to looking so incredibly symmetrical as it is. So let's change it up. Let's do a different wall. Let's try maybe this one right here. I kind of like this a little bit better. It's not quite as uniform though, just a little bit, but it still is doable. Let's just make the size a little bit smaller. There we go. And maybe we can even choose a fill. And we want to make sure we go from color to texture. And then we'll go in and select the texture that we want. Let's just go ahead and use this one. And I'm going to change the fill size. So I'll just scale it down a little bit. Now we're not going to stick with this texture right here. We'll probably change it up a little bit more. You can change some of the rotation and the horizontal offsets and layer offsets in these advanced or these fill options right here. So you can kind of rotate that. Now I'm going to go ahead and go do the shape, and I'm going to choose to use the brush because you notice that we have the main room right here. Let's create the smaller rooms with postules on the side. Now there are a couple ways to go about this. We could have some tunnels that lead to the postules or just have them growing right off the side of the wall. I think we should kind of maybe do a little bit of both. First, let's try to remove some of the symmetry of the circle by clicking add, got my brush size, and you want to have merge shape. So you'll see what I mean by merge shape. You see how it merges with the current shape here? We're going to do this to break up the perfect circularness of it by just kind of going off a little bit here, maybe a little bit here. And what we're doing is we're just kind of breaking up that symmetry of it. And now it looks a little bit more like a little more globular feel to it, which is really nice. And of course you can rotate the whole thing if you feel like I like it better here or whatever it might be. You can just size it down, hold down that shift key, small scroll wheel, and you can change it, rotate it. So that's like really nice. I'm gonna go ahead and just rotate it like this, and I wanna make sure there's enough room. I wanna locate it in a place where there's enough room for the postules on the side to get built. So we'll go back to the shape tool. We'll click that brush. I'm going to bring the size down, and we're going to create some tunnels that are going to basically be leading into the other postules or other sags. And I want to also look at the grid because I want to line up my tunnels with the grid. So let's do that. So we'll go across here, and then I'll create the circular kind of blobular shape. And I want to make sure that it's big enough to fit things inside of it. So you kind of see there that there's some room there. Let's go ahead and take a step back and look at it. Yeah, that looks okay. Let's do another one. Let's go one that goes out to here like this, and then maybe opens up like this. And in fact, I don't mind actually just kind of making them go in a little bit like that. That looks fine. And let's do a little bit more here. And let's add in another one in this corner right here. Maybe 3 rooms is big enough. And that centralized room will obviously be something important. Now we're making an outpost, so we're going to have to make sure that we also think about not just the form, the beauty of it, or the look of it, but we also want to think about the function, and that's going to be the utility of it. So the main room could be like where maybe a reactor is, or where the power source is for the whole facility, and those smaller postules branching out on the side, those are going to be maybe, they could be like a barracks where soldiers are stationed, or scientists maybe are in one, or maybe there's a teleportation room. There could be a room to carry firearms. There's a lot of different things, right? It's an alien outpost, so it probably needs some guards to protect it, and it probably needs some faculty or staff to also operate the facility. So we'll want to make sure that we add those things in here. Now I'm going to do something a bit different. Now I've kind of put that together. Now I want to do access. So I'm looking at each point of entry where we go into each of the small rooms from the big room. And I'm going to go ahead and select the whole shape, and I'm going to change the offset of the fill. So the fill is here, and then we're going to go over to advanced, and we're going to take the layer offset down and put it all the way down to, let's say, -4. This way, the walls will have some layers in between that and the fill layer below, right? So that way, if I want to put some things along the walls, but I want them to be hidden under the wall, it will be there. So create some cushion in between the walls layer, whatever layer the walls is on, and whatever layer is on the fill. Remember, you want that cushion. I'm also going to change up a few things with the shadows. You notice that right now the map looks kind of flat. Like, it's good that I have a darker floor or fill and a lighter wall color, but it still looks kind of flat. So we're going to go into the advanced stroke options, turn that shadow toggle, and we're going to add a shadow. What the shadow will do will cause the walls to pop out. See that dark shadow that's being built there, being added there? Good. Now the walls are starting to pop out a little bit more. So it looks like there's some depth. And I noticed that you can see on that fill down there that the pattern of the fill is repetitious. Don't worry, we're going to fix that. So let's go ahead and put that down. Let's go ahead and do the access as I mentioned before. And I'm just going to use these kind of glowing like flesh tunnels, and we'll use these to kind of represent access into it. Remember when I mentioned that your floor should be at a couple layers below the walls? That way, when I go down a layer, notice that it's covering the wall. It's underneath the wall, but it's also above the fill layer. So that's super important. And that tunnel is going to be right there. And what we'll do is we'll actually edit it a little bit so that it won't be quite as large. So I'll just go ahead and change this. Now these hot bars are only visible when it's at 0 degrees. Once I rotate it, even just a little bit, those hot bars go away. So if you're kind of wondering, well, how did those hot bars get there? That stamp has to be set to 0 degrees, okay? Now I'm gonna go ahead and I've scaled it a little bit or transformed it. I can go ahead and put it right here, and we'll add more stamps to go over that. Remember, we're just gonna focus on putting together the entrance points. How do you get from one room to the other? And we'll just put 2 on each side, because that way it looks like there's a doorway for both. And then we'll put some stamps on top as well. Copy, paste, put another one right here. I think this will look good. Like this. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to put some stamps over. We're going to continue on that a little bit. Let's go with this fleshy-like thing. Now, you notice that there is some uniformity in the wall. So what we're going to do is add some tendrils randomly in certain spots. And I want to make sure it's a layer above the walls. And what this will do will kind of remove some of that uniformity. So if I just put that stamp right there on top, you'll notice that it kind of creates a nice little piece on top of it. So I'll put another one right here like this, right on top. And of course you can go in and throw in some fleshy pieces a little bit everywhere on top like this. And what you're doing now is kind of creating this feeling that that uniformity is kind of going away, because you're just throwing on just a couple of these fleshy stamps, and that really helps. That really helps to make it look like it's not all the same, because it really does look like there's some serious uniformity with those walls, and I really want to break that up. So I'm just going to throw on some of these fleshy pieces to kind of break that up. Let's put another one there, and I can put on more later. I just want to give you the idea of trying to breaking up the uniformity of walls. Okay. Now we'll add more there. We'll add more as we go. In fact, we're going to be adding a lot more to these walls. I really want there to be this idea of these kind of fleshy, alive walls, right? So we'll add more to those walls. Let's continue at working on our entrances a little bit more. I see that these are a little bright. If you really want things to match in, let's go ahead and bring the brightness down just a little bit more. There we go. Now I want to change up the floor a little bit, because you remember we mentioned the uniformity of the texture that is the fill. So what we'll do is we'll take the line shape or the line tool, and I'm going to go ahead and select this organic stairs right here. And I have a cool trick that I like to use to kind of create this illusion of interesting texture on the ground. And so what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just put one down first. I'm going to change the blend mode to luminosity at the bottom. And I really want, well, actually, I don't mind changing it back to the normal. I kind of like it better that way. Let's go ahead and fix that. Bring that back. There we go. And we just need to bring the brightness down. What I'm trying to do is make sure that this kind of reaches around the same darkness as the texture beneath. And so I'll go into here and I'll go ahead and, oopsie, wrong one. Go over to stroke color adjustments, bring the brightness down. And I think about there looks good. And I'm going to change the stroke size so it's nice and big. There we go. Perfect. And what we'll do is we'll go in and we're going to just create this shape that kind of goes in like this. And I'm going to bring it down. There we go. And it's about right. Let's go ahead and maybe take a step back, look at it. I kind of like that. It kind of has this interesting kind of swirly effect to it. Of course, these are just meant to be stairs, but you can change it up and do whatever you want with it. But I think they look kind of nice that way. So let's go ahead and add in a couple more. I'll bring the stroke size about there. Looks good. And we'll add in another one. We'll bring the stroke size down a little bit. There we go. And I'll do the same thing over here. Just make it all nice and swirly. Same here. Just kind of make it nice and swirly here. It just sounds so weird when I say swirly. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay. Ooh, I might want to bring that down a layer or two because it looks like some of those are not there. So let's bring that down. There we go. I just want to make sure that these are down enough layers to where those are not being hidden. There we go. Let's take a step back real quick. Yeah, I kind of like that. Kind of has a nice feel to it. I don't know why I did the fill, but I think this looks good. There's some more right here too. We'll have to probably fix that. The way that I would do that would be to select it, shape, and then just click your nodes. And then I can just change my node like this, so to make sure that the whole thing kind of gets covered a little bit. Push this down one. There we go. And now I use the nodes to make sure that it fills all the way in. And I'm actually going to select these lines, all of them, and bring the brightness down just a little bit more. There we go. I kind of like it a little bit darker. There we go. And then, of course, these ones need to be a little bit darker as well, because I want to make sure that they're matching in. Okay, and we can get back to more of this in a bit. Let's go ahead and let's start populating the rooms with some stuff. And whenever you're populating a room, I always start with the largest thing that's going to go in the room first. And what this does is it kind of makes you feel like, hey, I'm filling in the room more. It looks like more is getting done. And therefore you get encouraged and you'll keep going. When you start doing details right away, because details are sometimes smaller, they can be little tchotchkes, and you start filling in spaces, you get tired and you can get kind of discouraged because it doesn't feel like you're getting a lot done. So start with larger stamps first, and then you can branch out to medium size and then smaller ones. So details are in generally the last part, while your larger stamps that are going to be populating the room will start first. Again, you just want to make sure that you're not discouraging yourself. So let's go ahead and make kind of like a light source, or I'm sorry, a power source. And what I'll do is I'll probably use something like this. I kind of like the overall look of it. It's a little on the bright side, but we can bring it down a little bit. I'm going to make sure that it's a layer above, because if I put things underneath it, I don't want those stairs to be covered up. So after that, we'll go ahead and throw in some of these little tendrils right here. And I'm going to push it down a layer so they're underneath. And I'm probably going to change the brightness just a little bit. And what I'll do is I'll also do a different kind of shadow so you can see it. Because they're red, they kind of match with the floor. So creating shadows should help you to distinguish between the floor and these kind of tendrils, you know what I mean? Because if you look here, now you can kind of see the tendrils more because of that dark shadow that you've put on it. And what I'll do is I'll just put a couple that go around it like this, so it kind of looks like it's growing out of the floor and the tendrils are kind of branching out closer to the walls. Remember, the theme is kind of this fleshy feel, so veins, pustules, whatever you could imagine, those kind of things are going to be in here. So we have that light source here, and we can of course decorate it with more stuff. We don't have to stop there. We can go into the catalog, find some stuff that we want to use. Maybe I want to use one of these things right here. Maybe I'll put one on each side, or like this, and then maybe they're facing inward. I'm going to turn random stamp off so that I can just select these and then put them on. And remember, this is some kind of sci-fi power source. So maybe this is like a flower that's kind of budding open and close. Maybe that's what maybe that's what the power source is kind of this flower-like thing that's made of alien tech. I'm going to want to make sure that I get the shadows correct. I really want those to look like they're not like attached to the floor, but higher up. And so if I add a custom object shadow to it, you notice that hard shadow causes that to pop up. So now it kind of has that nice effect. I mean, we can rotate it this way too if you want it to be facing this way, but I kind of like it this way. It kind of looks more like a budding flower, in my opinion. So now we have that light source, or that power source there. We might want to throw in maybe some sacks in here, like we have these right here. I want to make sure that some will be on top of the walls and some will be underneath the walls. So we'll test that out. You're going to want to make them to put them in spaces where there's maybe like an indentation in the wall where there's room to put them. And you'll decide which ones you want to be on the top and which ones you want to be on the bottom. For now, I'll put this one on the bottom. I'm going to scale it up, and I'm going to copy and paste another one of these little tendril things. I'll bring it down a layer. Make sure that it's below. There we go. And I'm going to make it look like it's connecting from the wall over to those other tendrils in the center there. And now we want to create this illusion of depth, right? So the way to do that is to put another one at a higher layer on top so it looks like there is depth. So you notice here now that there's some postules underneath the wall and some on top, and it creates this really cool illusion of depth. And we might want to do this a couple times, maybe in a couple areas. So we'll just follow this kind of method again. We'll put another one maybe in this corner, like let's see here, maybe like this, and then we'll put on top like we did before, one like that, and then maybe a smaller one. There we go. Let's go with that one. Put that right there. Okay, cool. And then we can go with those tendrils again. There we go. And I'm going to bring the brightness down on the one that's on the bottom, because we're going to create this kind of illusion of depth. So I'll put this one again at the bottom, a little bit darker. And then you can see that there's a difference between those blue globs that are on the top and the globs that are on the bottom. So very helpful using light and shadow to create depth there. We're at 99 changes. As always, I try to save around that, so that way I don't give anyone a heart attack. So we're going to save this, and now that we've kind of added those postules, we can come back to that later. Sometimes when you don't want to do the same step repetitiously, so what you'll do is just maybe start step 2 or 3 and then do a little bit of it, and that way you have an idea like, oh, when I want to go back to decorating the walls, I know what method to use. It's those blue postules, it's going to be those little fleshy tendrils, and then that way you can even just copy and paste some of those things somewhere else and then rearrange them. You know, the objective is to work a lot smarter and not harder. So great things, copy and paste things on your map that are already on your map, move them and arrange them, rotate them, resize them. This will save you a lot more time than just having to individually place the stamp. Just copy and paste a group, transplant it somewhere else on the map, and then edit it, and you don't want it to be exactly the same. So now that we've done that, let's go ahead and keep adding some more stuff. Maybe we should go back to adding more of these fleshy tendrils to the walls. I'll go ahead and turn the grid off so that it's not kind of distracting. And we've got these tendril things again. Let's just go ahead and add a couple more to the walls. And we might even add more that kind of branch out off of the walls, because I maybe want this illusion that maybe some of these are branching out away from the walls out into whatever surface. So what we could do is we could take, let's go into the line tool. Let's go ahead and set the shape, and we're going to use these tentacles right here. Let's go ahead and place one down for now so I can get a feel of what it looks like. Let's set the scale. And what I recommend is making 3 different types of ones: a super large tendril setting, a medium-sized tendril, and a small tendril. And what we'll do is we'll start with large tendrils here and there, then some medium ones surrounding and connecting into the larger one, and then some smaller ones connecting into the medium ones. Now what I want though is to make sure that these tendrils look like they're outside, So I have to make sure that they're at the lowest layer and below the walls, or below the fill and the walls. That way it looks like they're coming out of the walls and going into whatever that black space is, a mountain, a water, whatever it might be. So what we'll do is we'll change the brightness. We'll bring the brightness down. There we go. I think it needs to be just dark enough to where you can see it. There we go. And let's actually bring the size up. So we'll create a couple, and what I'll do is make it look like it's kind of snaking away from the main source. So maybe it's drawing energy from the mountain or the lake that it's on, whatever it might be. And so, like I said, you'll start with large ones first. And in fact, we can even go with even bigger than that. Let's go with some super big ones. There we go. Some super big ones. There we go. Okay, so we got some super big ones. Let's go with more of the medium-sized ones. Oopsie, not that one. This one here, my bad. There we go. All right, looking good. Keep going. All right. Yeah, I like this. And you want to put in a fair amount, right? Because we're sticking with the theme, right? It's an organic like structure. There's a flower there. Flowers have roots. So maybe these are the roots, right? Let's go ahead and bring the stroke size down a little bit smaller. Let's go with super small, about that size. And then we'll start adding in these smaller ones. Remember I mentioned the different types of variety and sizes. Makes sense, right? Roots are the same way. Roots are not all the exact diameter, right? They are varying, you know, with their strength and how much nutrients they get. So let's go ahead and throw in these smaller ones. And what we're trying to do is trying to remove some of the negative space. If you don't know what I mean by negative space, it's that black background, okay? There we go. And now you kind of have that in there. And we'll probably end up using some filters too to maybe create a silhouette that will go around the edges that will kind of blur off a little bit of those tendrils there. Okay, let's take a step back and take a look at it. I think I'm overall pleased with that. Let's just keep going and adding more stuff. What you do is if you start getting confused on maybe what more you want to add, you can always just go through the catalog and just kind of look at things, and then it will kind of help you to figure out like, hey, what should I do next? You know, what would be helpful is maybe we need some control consoles. Maybe we need some more lighting. Maybe we want to decorate more of the flower. I mean, it's up to you. You can decide how you want to go about doing it. So let's maybe throw in these right here. I'm going to put them on right here like this. I'm just going to keep decorating just a little more of the flower power source. It's flower power, folks, okay? There we go. Oopsie. Make sure I get it on there. Another one right here. There we go. Perfect. Nice. Slowly kind of putting it together. We can look at more pieces here. There's also some nice glowing kind of pieces right here. I kind of like that. If I wanted to, I could maybe put them on top right here to kind of look like they're a part of maybe part of the doorway. Maybe these lights kind of signal like, hey, here's the door right here. I like that. And what I'll do is I'll end up copy and paste all these, copy, paste, and then I can go ahead and just apply them somewhere else. Right here, like this. Remember that trick, copy and paste. I didn't end up just trying to remake that whole thing. I copied and pasted it, and that way I don't have to go through that process again. It saves a lot of time when you're copying and pasting. So just kind of remember that. You know what, let's go back to maybe some more, putting a little bit more postules on there. I was kind of enjoying that. Let's go ahead and put in, let's say 3 is a good number. Let's put in 3 of them. Let's go ahead and go up a layer. I want to make sure that there's some on the top as well. Remember that trick of making sure that you have some depth. And I noticed that these are right here are a little bit darker, and these ones right here should be a bit brighter. The ones on top, oopsie, not that one. My mistake, bring that brightness back down. There we go. And then of course, copy paste those tendrils, bring them down a couple layers. There we go. Great. All right. Right there. There we go. So it's kind of coming together, right? You see, once you start putting together a method, a kind of an order of operation of things, it becomes easier to put the map together. So a workflow is super important. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to do one step for 3 hours. You can do one step for 10 minutes. Once you've kind of got enough material, you can go to the next step. And then when you go back, like I said, when you go back to that last step or the step you want to go back to, you'll have something to work with. So a good workflow is going to be very, 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 very helpful. Let's keep adding in a couple more things. Maybe I want to put a location, a teleporter kind of thing set up. So maybe we want to put like a teleporter right here. This might look good right here. And of course I want this kind of illusion that it's also kind of growing out of the floor. So I'll just go ahead and create more of these little tendrils and have them be branching out towards the walls. Copy, paste again. There we go. And so now you got some veins growing out of the walls or out of the ground and onto that kind of platform right there for maybe it's teleportation, maybe it's a rejuvenation pod. who knows, right? It's up to you. Teleportation kind of makes sense because I don't really see an entrance to get into this place. So teleportation makes sense. Or I could just make a little tunnel that goes out of the way. And I'm not going to worry about that. I think teleportation works fine, right? We'll make it alien there. Let's keep adding some more stuff. I kind of like these little pieces right here. Maybe these right here can be like sleeping things. Maybe aliens go like inside of these and they rest or something like that. So I can maybe put a couple up against the wall like this. And then we'll add more stamps to it to make it more seamless with the wall because it looks kind of weird as is. So I'll just copy and paste. Let's put 3 for now. And then we'll go ahead and throw on some of these interesting stamps, these fleshy stamps on top to kind of make sure that these stamps are blending in properly with the wall. Copy, paste. There you go. Yeah, I think I kind of like that. That looks good. Copy, paste. How much time are we working at here? All right, we got about 10 more minutes left in the stream. So I'll try to get as much done as possible. Hey, first time chatter. Both of you, welcome. Sorry that I missed the first one there. Okay, so we've got these nice little sleeping pods here. Let's keep adding, just keep adding more and more stuff. Why stop there, right? Maybe I want to, let's take a look here. Maybe I want to take this piece right here and make this a part of the teleportation thing. So I can place it here or make sure that it's down. Or actually, it can be even up a layer. I think like this will be good. And maybe we want to make the teleportation thing be a little bit more distinct. So we'll add in some more pieces to the teleportation. Let's put another one right here, maybe. Well, no, we'll stick with that one right there. I think that looks good. Okay, yeah, that looks good. All right, let's keep looking. We still have a lot of stamps to work with. Oh, we have these nice walls here. We have some of this interesting wall pieces, more postules. I kind of like these things right here. These things are pretty cool. Let's go ahead and throw these in as well. But maybe these are like a control console. Maybe these aliens use their mental abilities to activate things. So maybe there's not like a hand console. Human beings, have to press things and buttons and stuff like that. Maybe with this species, they don't do that. Maybe they use like a hive mind or something, but maybe there's like an antenna or a ray that amplifies their telepathic powers, right? So then let's maybe throw in one of those things, right? So I'll throw in this kind of array right here, and we'll say that this is perhaps a way that amplifies those abilities. So I can throw in a couple of them. Think of it as like a Wi-Fi repeater, right? It strengthens your signal. So just throwing in a couple of those is good, so that way those aliens will have a way to communicate with each other without having to drain themselves too much of their mental faculties. All right, let's keep adding a couple more stuff on here. Let's go ahead and add, these are really kind of a fun little kind of fleshy looking tubes right here. What might be cool of having some of these kind of sticking out a little bit. So what I'll do is turn that shadow off and then change the brightness like this. And I'm going to go ahead and apply it. And I want these to be kind of sticking out away from, I want them to be overlapping the wall a little bit so that way it kind of looks like there are these interesting little tubes. Let's add in a couple more. I one right there as well. That looks good. I want to make sure that the shadow for all of these are off. None. There we go. So it kind of looks like they're sticking out of the wall a little bit. We can even bring the brightness down on them just a little bit more. There we go. And if we want, we can throw them in on over here as well. So I could maybe put one sticking out right here. And you know what? I am going to just turn the shadow off. There we go. And we'll throw in a couple more. We are running a little short on time, so try to add as much as I can to this before we go. I just want to make sure you get the general idea on how to kind of use these alien type of stamps, because there's not quite as many stamps in this pack as some of the other ones. So it kind of helps you to get an idea of how of how to use these stamps, how to put them together to kind of create this awesome alien outpost. So we got about 6 minutes left. So let's go ahead and throw down some filters to help to make some of those tubes or those tendrils or roots underneath to go away. So what I'll do is I'll click plus button with the textures, and you'll see that there are some textures in here with sci-fi, but I want to use a particular one. I'm going to end up using the silhouette or the vignette here, and I'm going to bring all the way up, and I'm going to bring this down to layer 4, I think, because what I want is I don't want the vignette to hide the walls. I only want the vignette to hide those roots underneath. So I've put the roots are on layer -5. Everything else is above that. So if I just put that vignette filter on the -4 layer, it will only cover up that. And I might even add another vignette as well, so that way it really looks like they're really hiding the tendrils as they kind of go off like that. And of course, I can also throw in, let's go and throw in a spotlight, and this will allow that to fill in a little bit. We're changing the blend mode over to overlay. There we go. And that kind of helps to make the central piece pop out a little bit more, which I kind of like. And I think I'll add in just one more filter. Let's throw in a cold warm filter, and I'm going to put that down. Let's bring the opacity on it down just a little bit. And this kind of cold warm, because there's just blues and there's reds, so there's cools and there's warms already on the map with stamps. So it probably doesn't hurt to use a filter called cold warm that will allow to help those cools and warms to pop out more. Basically, it adds kind of a purplish color, but that purplish color goes well with blue and red because red and blue create purple. So that works out well. Let's throw in one more filter, a clarity filter, so that way it really, the color will pop out a little bit more. See what happens when I turn that clarity filter off. Because what happens with color filters is sometimes they kind of lose some of the sharpness of the stamps when you add on multiple filters. So to kind of fix that problem, you just turn on a clarity filter, and it will cause the stamps to get a bit brighter and a little bit sharper. All right, so let's go ahead and just quickly review. We got about 3 minutes left. Let's review what we did. We used the circle shape to create a circle. We use the brush to kind of create blobs to kind of break up that perfect circle. And then we use the same brush to create those rooms or pustules or sacks that are attached to that main centralized room. And then we started populating the room with stuff. And again, you start with the largest stuff first, so that way it takes up the most room and it populates the room quickly. And that way you don't get discouraged, because I can't tell you, it's so easy to get discouraged with maps. I make a lot of maps. I do a lot of map making. I really enjoy it, but I too get discouraged. So these methods help you to stay focused, to stay motivated, and to keep you going, keeping the workflow going. All right. So that is it for today's stream. I hope you got a general idea of how the line and shape tools work and kind of how to put together some basic interiors and how to put together this alien kind of pack that we have here. I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week for next week's stream. I think that's going to be Secrets of the Citadel Ruins. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be part 3. I'm looking forward to that because we're going to be finally getting to the point where we can populate that. I'll go ahead and save this map and make it clonable, and I'll add it to the video description on YouTube when we upload it. So that way, if you want to clone and edit this and finish it yourself, you totally can, okay? All right, thank you so much for being here. Please stay safe and healthy, and merry map making. Vida Zane, everybody.